it's Reconnect with Rockers on WDHA. I'm reconnecting with someone who I haven't ever connected with before. And I'm actually excited that you're on the feature because I've wanted to have you guys on. And the timing just never kind of came my way. So when I got the email from you and your camp, I was like, yes, I am with Matt Brandyberry from Ashes to New. And it's so nice to see your face finally, kind of in person via Zoom for WDHA. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And it's almost 2023, so this is in person now. Like, you know,
It really is. It's the new in person.
Accustomed to this being in person. So.
And this is so cool because you are live from the Until We Break tour.
Yes, I am on our bus right now on my hotspot, being very, very hopeful that it's going to continue doing its purpose throughout the entire course.
Yeah, that's what we deal with. If it doesn't, we'll wait for you to come back. Now, first of all, I wanted to talk to you because two things that I wanted to start with before we get into what you guys are doing right now. I love bands that are carrying the torch for heavy music. I think it is just so needed. I love sort of the reinvention of what, you know, you're doing, multi-vocalists, clean vocals, harsh vocals. Like, I just think it is incredible because metal has been such a community. I've been program director at WDHA for a really long time. I've seen so many trends of metal. So I love the fact that you guys are carrying the torch. So talk to me about some of your early metal moments when you were a kid or a teen or somebody who just connected with you and you were like, you know what? This is inspiring to me.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it though. And it's actually funny because I was actually just talking about this last night because our fan base continues to grow incrementally and we've been a band for almost 10 years.
I know.
So it's like the metal and rock community it's so alive in the way that you can have longevity in your career in this side of the industry. And as in other sides of the industry, you can't. And I was talking to someone in our camp, our photographer actually, who's out, and he's really familiar with like the hip hop world and stuff like that, which I also love. But he was talking about how, like, you know, they're kind of here today, gone tomorrow artists. Like they have these like sharp rises and these steep falls like right after. But in this side, the community is so supportive that they're fans for life. And you know, that topic obviously came up because like our bus right now is full of candy and junk food and like all this stuff because our fans bring us all this stuff.
That's
and
awesome.
Our photographer's like, I've never seen anything like this. I was like, I don't know what to do with all this stuff. We have so much. So yeah, you're right. Like it's rising right now. Like I think we're seeing in the industry, we're seeing a rise in rock and metal again. And I like to accompany that to what you were saying, like artists of the past and like when we've gone through trying times as a nation or as the entire world's population, like we turn to things that have angst to kind of give us that therapeutic and cathartic vibe that we're looking for. So, you know, when you talk about carrying the torch, it just means the world to us that we're here and existing during an uptick in my favorite genre of music.
Yeah.
And you know, when it comes back to, you know, things like, I mean, for me, I'm a kid of like the 90s and early 2000s, right? So like anything in that era is what I really relate to. My sister, she's a little older than me, and she was like her favorite bands were like Pearl Jam and like early Green Day, and she was like really into the grunge era back then. And I didn't get into it too much. Like it wasn't a thing for me. I was actually really into rap when I was like like a young teenager. I mean, I rapping from Ashes to New, so like that was like you know what I was really into. And then
DMX and Skrillex, like a lot of that was a lot of what the band, you know, was inspired by.
Yeah, but they're also like
for a small part of what From Ashes to New does.
Yeah, it's funny because DMX Up in Here is actually our hype song before we come on stage. So like, you know, but when you listen to it, it's like that brand of hip hop was also heavier and angstier.
100%. Very rock and roll. And there was a rock and roll rebellion and attitude that came with that. Look, there was a whole segment of time where hip hop artists were like the rock stars.
Yeah.
You know, 100%. So a younger generation is going to sort of gravitate to that and then evolve what the genre sort of is. So, you know, I'm inspired by that because anything that kind of takes music that we love to a different group of people, I think is massively huge. So I can hear all of that, obviously. And you know what's cool? I think you guys were one of, and it's like everything seems like a blur to me for the last like 3 years or so. But I think you guys were one of the last bands I saw before lockdown, because if memory serves me right, and I probably should have done some more prep for this, but I think you guys did a Starland Ballroom show in Sayreville. You did, right?
Sure did.
Was it with Skillet? Was it with, I can't remember exactly who it was, but I remember the last 2 bands I saw before everything closed down. I think you guys and then Crowbot did something for my radio station in early March. We did like a Sunday fun day. Those guys are like party maniacs. And I think you guys were the 2 last bands I saw before everything went runk and shut
Skillet.
down.
It was with Skillet at Starland. Your memory is very good, because that was the day that everything got shut down.
Yep.
Like we woke up so we didn't know we were actually supposed to go, I believe, upstate New York after that. We had 2 more shows. And upstate New York was the next one. And we woke up the next day after that Starland show, and everything was shut down. That was it. You're going home. Like we didn't, we were grumbling. It's like it might happen, we don't know. And
because no one knew. No one knew. I remember saying, like, and I'm like a total germaphobe. So I remember being like, have you guys heard about this thing that's going around? And like, little did we know at that time. And we were just sort of saying, it can't happen here. It just can't happen here. And then all of a sudden, whoosh. So I was at that show, and I remember seeing you guys, and first of all, being so impressed by the command that you guys had over the crowd. Like the fans are very, very loyal to you guys. And I'm looking at some video footage of this recent tour, sold out dates, and everybody's just flipping out. And I look at your socials, and everybody's like, love you guys. You guys get me through this and this and this and this. So to see that loyal fan base is pretty freaking tremendous.
Yeah, it's, and like I said, as it grows, it just becomes more and more surreal. Like I'm just so grateful, because the music industry is difficult, right? To longevity in the music industry, no matter where you're at, it's difficult. And our fan base is just amazing. They're incredible, and they show up, and now they're showing up even more. Even people that have been listening to us for years that haven't seen us are starting to show up. So I think it's a mixture of a bunch of different things, though, right? Like I think that like everyone's finally I can go back out and I can enjoy music. So like, the live scene right now is just popping off. Like it's insane. And the resurgence of this genre of music as well, I think, is on top of it. And when you look at like what we do as a band with blending genres and stuff, like when we started doing it in the early 2000 teens, there was so many people that were like, this is dead, don't do this style, don't do this style, because it was killed off with nu metal in the the late 2000s. And it's like now everybody's doing it. So like if you look, like by no means did we pioneer the sound. Obviously we know who came before us. I can rattle off 3 or 4 bands that are just absolutely phenomenal at this style of music, but now all of a sudden, like you're seeing the blending of genres from like the metal and rock world, adding in hip hop, pop influences and things like that. And it's starting to really take off. So we're just happy to be a part of it, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so impressed with the band. And I think it's brilliant that you guys are a fun band too. I loved Wake Me When 2020 Ends. That's like still so great. For those of you who have not seen the video, who's got the dinosaur outfit?
That's Danny, our singer. He's like, listen, he's like, I see this on Amazon.
And I love that dinosaur. I feel so sorry for him. Like I love the dinosaur. But for those of you, if you have not seen this video, I'm telling you, Google it, check it out on YouTube. It's really, really super cool. And it'll make you feel really good. And everybody can relate to every single clip. So you guys were so fun with that. And now you got a Christmas tune out, a holiday tune, which is amazing. All right. So who's the person who says, instead of doing something dark like a Grinch song or something, who's the person who says, we're going for All I Want for Christmas? Which, by the way, I got to give that person brilliant move, because it is so well known. Everybody knows that song, and you guys nailed it. An amazing version. So who decides that you guys are going to cover Mariah Carey?
Well, first off, thank you. We had so much fun with it. Like, believe it or not, and that's what I've said to most people, like, believe it or not, we actually enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's great. You guys did an awesome job with it. There's still the melody of the song. so I can still hear that cool melody, but man, you just nail it out of the park with like throwing up the horns and jamming. It's crazy. It's crazy cool.
Yeah, so Lance and I were talking about it. Lance, our guitarist.
Yep.
We had the studio time booked, and one thing led to the next. What we had it booked for, we couldn't do anymore. So we're like, well, we already deposited on this studio time. So either we let it go to waste or we figure something out just on the fly. So we're like, let's do a Christmas cover. We never really done one. We never did one. We've talked about doing one, but we just never got around to it. So it was like, well, maybe this is the perfect time to do it. So we started throwing around ideas, obviously, like Nightmare Before Christmas and Carol of the Bells and anything that kind of has that minor dark feeling for Christmas songs. We're like, but that's all kind of been done already, right? Like, and obviously people have covered All I Want for Christmas Is You as well, but we couldn't, when you go through like YouTube or go through Spotify and you're like looking for covers of it, we couldn't find anyone who did it like the way that we thought it should be done. So we were like, you know what? We actually even said it. We're like, feel like it's kind of low hanging fruit, but let's just do it anyway and see what happens. So we went into the studio with no plan in mind at all. Like there was no, we're going to do it. Like the only plan we had is we knew we wanted to do it in a minor key. That was the only idea that we had. We had nothing else. So we had 2 studio days booked. We went in, sat down with our producers that we normally work with, and just started kind of throwing it at the wall and see what would happen. And it took a couple hours to really kind of get onto the right track, and we were all kind of
I would imagine
up until about lunchtime on day 1. So, and then like we broke for lunch, and we were like kind of like, all right, I think we're on to something here. And it got really exciting because it was so organic. Obviously the song had already been written, so we're just trying to do our style. But it was so organic, and there was no expectation because I mean we could have just let it hit the floor and it wouldn't have mattered, you know? So there's no expectation, completely organic, and we're just having fun with it. And I think that shows in the song, you know, that we just went for whatever we thought we could do with the song. And I feel like we nailed it.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And let me tell you a little secret about rock radio. We're always looking for good holiday songs because around the holidays, people want to hear tunes. And we're always going to the same pool. I'm always going to the same pool. You know, oh, what's a cool song? Dropkick Murphys, Small Town Titans doing the Grinch. Like, because our audience likes heavier songs. They don't always like the same things. So I think this was great, brilliant, phenomenal. And you guys nailed it. So congratulations. Yeah. When I saw it come in my inbox and then I got the email and you were on it and everything, I was like, oh, this is absolutely perfect. Also, you guys, I mean, you guys are always busy. You were on the Retaliators soundtrack, which was really, really cool this year. So talk to me a little bit about that and pairing up with, you know, kind of all your, you know, kind of management label mate people and everything. And you guys are not a band that likes to sort of sit still and hang out and wait for the next thing to happen. You're always making things happen.
I think a lot of that goes down to that the 4 of us have terrible ADHD. We just can't sit still. I think that's what a lot of that boils down to. But yeah, you know, we like to stay busy, right? I mean, just sitting around and not doing anything is kind of, I mean, it's boring to say it at the, you know, at the very least. So when it comes down to things like the Retaliators, like that's our record label. They started getting into movies, and Nikki Sixx is involved in it, and you know they wanted us to be a part of it, and we weren't going to say no, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
no, it was fantastic. Fantastic. I love, and Nicky's a visionary rock star. You know, he's always kind of looking to the next thing and figuring ways to kind of expand what he does. So I love when he brings in, you know, a lot of these other bands. I loved seeing Eva Under Fire. You know, they're such a great hot band and she's such a cool lady. I'm always about the females in rock and roll and stuff. So I love seeing, you know, them involved. And so, yeah, I thought you guys just did a great job on 21 Bullets, just awesome stuff. And it was really, really nice to, you know, to see some of this great, young, fresh rock talent out there. And, you know, pre-lockdown, when I think of some of the things that you guys did that we got during lockdown, it was very sort of prolific. It was stuff that, you know, at first I was like, oh, they're putting this out and this is about, you know, this time or whatever, but it wasn't really about that time. So how weird is that to write music and then all of a sudden kind of the time comes and the music kind of fits well and you guys are sort of like, okay, well, where did that sort of come from?
Yeah, it's shockingly weird. Honestly,
yeah, weird, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, when you think about the song Panic, in general, that song was not written about what we were going through when it was released in 2020. You know, it
Which
was
I
released
thought
in-
it was at first, and then I sort of
Right.
did a little, due diligence, and then I was like, oh, this is kind of written before any of this happened.
Yeah, and if you go through like our discography and you listen to the songs and then you relate them to the times that they were released, like they kind of always go with the times, which scares me. I'm gonna go back to Panic, but I'm gonna also go ahead a second to the stuff that we currently have in the can that we're waiting to release. If it's prophetic again, I'm gonna be really upset.
Should I be scared? Should I be really
Yeah,
scared?
I'm hoping to God that it's not. So I'm just hoping that it's cathartic and not prophetic. But when you go back to Panic, like for example, the song in the video itself, like it was written just about general anxiety. It wasn't written about the anxiety that the entire world was feeling.
But man, did it fit. Holy crap.
Oh yeah, insane. In the music video, our guitarist Lance, he had this idea. This is the craziest part, right? So Lance is really into like Asian culture. He's into like anime and all that stuff, right? And he had this idea of wearing these face masks.
That came before?
It came before. Yeah.
Whoa. Well,
so
yeah, because the video is just full of that, and it just is so perfect for the time. Are you kidding me? No,
not at all. So like when we see sort of like, oh, why are you wearing a mask in the video? Or like, oh, what do they call it? They called it Corona Core or something like that.
Right, Corona, right. I saw that where people were calling it Corona Core.
Like
that was
COVID
crazy.
Core or something like that. So the idea was before this all happened, we actually had the whole mask design down. We actually had sunglasses. So like the idea was that you would wear the mask to our shows. Like you would get it at the merch booth and like you could wear it and be part of like this like show, right? And you'd have sunglasses and the mask, and they would go together to create the emoji that we had created for the Panic album. So we've been using emojis since the Future album to kind of, to use as like art clips for songs or whatever. And Panic was like the emoji that had like the zipper mouth. And the idea behind that was like you have this anxiety and you feel like you can't talk about it, and like your mouth is zippered shut and no one relates to you. And all of a sudden, all this hits, and it was a great idea, but it all got ruined because now all of a sudden everyone's wearing masks.
That's crazy.
Like,
that is crazy.
Yeah,
wow. Wow.
Yeah,
wow. I'm blown away. All right. So you got to send me like a private email on what the next cycle of music is going to be about, just so I know what to prepare for.
I don't know if if it's prophetic, I don't know if you want it. Honestly, you'd probably be better off in the dark on this one.
Oh man.
Let's just say that there is a song title on the new record called Armageddon.
Okay. All right. I'm so looking forward to that. So obviously 2023 is going to be a super busy year for the band, correct?
I'm hoping. I mean, it's really shaping up to look that way. I mean, 2022, it's wild because like we really didn't put out anything new. Like we put out a couple new singles, but like we really didn't do anything. And our growth this year has been nuts. So next year, the idea is to put out an album. God knows when, but hopefully sooner than later. Put out a record, tour like we always do, and just continue to create. But if the pattern continues to trend the way that it is, I mean, 2023 is just going to be fantastic for this band.
I'm excited. That inspires me. Awesome. Matt, it has been so great catching up with you, man. I feel like I'm like hanging out with an old friend that I've known forever. So this has been phenomenal. And I want everybody to check out too your Christmas tune, All I Want for Christmas, because it's just fun and it's metal and it's in your face. And if you're, at a holiday gathering and you just feel like cranking something and scaring the neighbors in a good way, that's the tune to do it too. So it's been awesome hanging out with you. Thank you so much for checking in.
Thanks for having me. And petition to have Target start spinning our version of the song.
I love that. I can't wait for that. And best of luck out on the road, man. Keep killing it. The fans are having a great time. We love seeing that. And happy holidays too.
Oh, you too. Thank you so much.
DHA's Reconnect with Rockers is powered by Karis Lock Company, your full-service locksmith, and Dover Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram on Route 46 in Rockaway.